Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated to providing you with life strategies with a little bit of entrepreneur advice. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Hey, good people, welcome back to the show. I have Edward Davis, visionary entrepreneur and co-founder of the Recreating Me movement. Edward, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we met, I believe it was in February when I spoke at the Houston Association of Black Journalists event. And that's when me and you had a chance to connect. And I just loved your energy. So I'm glad you were able to, want to come on my show and allow us to wrap it up for a minute.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
So what's been going on?
Just a lot of new projects in the pipeline. Have a new book about to be on the shelves in all major retail outlets and bookstores in the next 30 days.
All right, good. Before we dive into the book, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
So I am what they would call a serial entrepreneur. I realized a very long time ago that I'm not employable. And so I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. And I've always been the type of person that, when I was in a situation where a person was even able to pay me six figures, I always figured to myself, if you can afford to give me six figures, then what am I making for you? And so even when I was in corporate America, I always only worked long enough to figure out how to do what they were making me do for the pennies and then figure out how to do it on my own. I have multiple business degrees. Double majored at Texas Southern in both journalism and in business marketing. I also have a master's in IT, so I also build, websites and develop apps. And currently, I am a PhD candidate working on a PhD in leadership and nonprofit management.
Oh, what school are you at?
I'm at North Central University.
Okay, I'm looking into PhD and ED programs, but that's a whole nother tangent. Right there.
Yeah. So I also have multiple businesses. Again, I have a healthcare training center called Advanced Care Plus. I have the personal impact brand, which does which I do the book publishing and the accountability coaching platform stuff through. And then I have Cutting Edge Concepts, which is my digital marketing and website development, app development company.
Wow. I'm glad you brought up that you're a serial entrepreneur and listed out your businesses. Now, I would love for you to kind of give us some insight on how you're able to get one business up and running and start a new venture. Do you start as a solo person? Do you collaborate? Like, what goes behind being a serial entrepreneur?
What goes behind being a serial entrepreneur is a lot of caffeine. But seriously, I am really, really good at just putting things together and building the right team. I understand, that no person is an island and that you need a really, really great team. So more than anything, it's about surrounding yourself with the right talent. You may not know you may not know everything, but if you surround yourself with the right people, then they can cancel out your weaknesses and you can build a great brand. And so I understand that at the core, every business operates exactly the same. The only thing you do differently is have maybe a different organizational structure and provide a different service or product. But the core of every business, the dynamics there is exactly the same. Accounting, marketing, operations, etc. And so once you understand the fundamentals, it's not hard to then build a team around that and then start pushing whatever product or service you may be interested in. So again, for me, I'm just really good at building teams. So I understand that, 40% of a piece of pie is better than 100% of no pie.
Right. And building those teams, you have a company, multiple departments, like you said, accounting, you have your managers, customer service, etc., salespeople. How hands-on are you?
I am very hands-on initially.
Okay.
Because I believe that I have the vision and I know what I want it to look like. But as I am putting my hands and kind of micromanaging, I also am focusing on the bigger picture and understanding that ultimately you can never really grow and be successful as a business if you're always wearing all the hats and you're trying to micromanage everything. And so the hallmark of a great leader is that they create other leaders. And so your whole objective should be to either train up the right people or hire the right people that can then fill those positions and wear those hats and then know how to effectively delegate the responsibilities so that and trust that the job is getting done correctly so that you can focus on the bigger picture and the bigger contracts and the bigger money.
Right. As this is interesting. I guess, have you sold a business before?
No, ma'am, never sold one yet.
Okay. So has there come a time when like, okay, this is too much. Maybe I should sell it. Maybe, I should put like, okay, you take it. Besides, I guess what I'm trying to say, like beyond the manager, right? Like how much responsibility are you able to give away and sleep peacefully at night? I know you said, you're not that hands-on after a while, but I just kind of wonder like, okay, this is just too much. I'm operating 3-4 businesses. I need a break.
So for me, I work hard and I play hard. And so anytime I feel like I'm at a point where I'm about to reach that burnout, I fly to South Africa.
Okay.
For a couple of weeks. And again, that's the great thing as well, being a serial entrepreneur, there's no cap on your salary. And so when you work really hard, you eat off of your hustle. And so if you are strong with your hustle, then it allows you again it affords you opportunities to really play and find that relaxation and downtime so that you can recharge and then come back fully recharged and fully focused on the next phase. Me personally, because I have an IT background, I'm really, really, really great at leveraging technology, and it really makes a whole lot of things so much easier. So for me, it's all about once I start a business, I immediately start trying to figure out how to put it on autopilot.
Interesting.
And once you find the ways to plug in the right pieces of technology along with the right talent of people, then again, a lot of the businesses, a lot of aspects of the business kind of starts to run itself.
I love it. I love it. Technology plus people. Okay. So how do you define success? What makes you successful?
Success for me is doing what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, and more than anything, being able to add value to others and bring as many people along with you as possible.
When did you realize you were successful?
Oh, great question. I personally see. I can't necessarily say that I identified it at any point.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it was just because I'm a lifetime learner, so I'm always learning, I'm always growing, I'm always reaching new heights. And I honestly don't believe that most of us in our lifetimes even taps into 30% of what we're capable of. So I think we all pass away leaving a lot of greatness unfulfilled. Wow. So for me, success is ongoing. It's a continuous process, if that makes sense.
Of course. Are you getting an echo?
Just a little.
Little.
You get a lot of feedback when you're in?
Sometimes it's like in and out though. So I'm gonna have a hard time editing. Give me one moment. Okay. How do I sound?
Sound good.
Okay, thanks. Okay. No, the reason I do agree that success is a continuous process. And I remember early on when it came to entrepreneurship, I just felt like that's the only way you're going to be wealthy is if you start your own business. And then in the early stages of me starting my business, I'm like, this is not what I had in mind. And it caused me to really reevaluate this definition of success, at least what was sold to me pretty much through media, right? Which is, a lifestyle, a life of luxury, cars, trips, big house, et cetera, et cetera. And then, I will say at least 2 to 3 years into business, that's when the freedom and the flexibility element came to mind. I'm like, wait, I'm actually doing what I want to do day in and day out. Yeah, there's a few hiccups here and there, but I'm getting there. What are some things that we can do to encourage, especially our community, when it comes to reaching a mindset of success, wealth, freedom, flexibility, things of that nature?
I do believe that there are certain things that need to be put in place before you can even talk about success and creating wealth. And one of those things is really changing the way we think about money and success. Everything starts with the unseen and then becomes visible. It's always the immaterial, then the material. And what I mean by that is that everything we see in existence was first a thought, and then it became the thing. Whether it's an airplane, whether it's a microwave, whether it's a smartphone, no matter what it is, it all started in the immaterial world before it became manifest. And it's no different in how you create wealth. Wealth is a mindset, and if you think wealthy thoughts, then ultimately those thoughts can materialize into physical riches and abundance, etc. And if you think poorly or think wrongly about wealth and how to create it, then you're gonna always continuously find yourself back to broke. So definitely you want to always start with the mindset. I think with our community specifically, the challenge is getting people to understand that it's really just that simple. That if you change your mind, you can change your life. Mm-hmm. And a good example of that is Henry Ford was once asked if he went, at that point, he was kind of like at the peak of his career in the auto industry, et cetera. And he was asked what he would do if he went bankrupt and broke and lost all of his money overnight. And his answer was just profound. He was like, I would have everything back twice as much in half the time. Mm. Because what he understood was that you were looking at the physical wealth and what I've generated. And you're using that as the measuring stick for whether I'm successful or whether I'm failing. But the truth is the success is in my mind because I generated all this from how I think. And that means this, I can recreate it again at any time. So if I lose it tomorrow, guess what? Not only can I recreate it, I can recreate it in half the time because as I created it the first time, now I also know the pitfalls and those things that set me back. So I'll avoid those things this time around. And again, reach my destination much faster with much more in the process. So he understood that the one thing you can't take from me is the true wealth, which is my mind and how I think. And that's what created the riches that you see in the first place. So to me, that was a great example of what it means to have a wealthy mindset and understand that wealth is how you think. And that ultimately can generate the riches as long as the thinking is correct.
Definitely. How important is it to, like, when you get your mind right, that you also have a support group that's on the similar page as you. Because lots of times when you are trying to elevate, if you're in the books and then you're trying to apply this knowledge to your day-to-day life, whether it's to your business, career, etc., the community. But, every now and then you have that friend that doesn't understand, what about situations in that case?
So that's a great question as well. This actually goes to the heart of what the C4 book is about. In the book, the C4, we talk about the 4 components or C's that will help you to have an explosive and dynamic life. One of those C's is character. One is conviction. One is creation, which deals with creating wealth in the mindset, by the way. And the other is contribution, right? What we leave behind. And one of the components we talk about who's in your circle. It's so important to surround yourself with people that think correctly. And so for me, I hold on to people because I value friendships, I value relationships. But I also do a regular evaluation of those who I consider my friend. And I ask myself, are you currently an asset or a liability? Because you're always going to be one of the other. And anybody that's a liability, you may want to reconsider that friendship. Because most times what people do is they talk you into their comfort zone. And out of your greatness in the process.
I like that.
And so we have to understand that I actually had an opportunity to sit down with Les Brown's youngest son, John Leslie Brown. And he was basically telling me that, they live by the philosophy that your net worth is determined by your network. And so it's always about the people that you surround yourself with. And then Les Brown actually told me, he was like, he actually said that, that character more or less is contagious. And so you have to be mindful of who you surround yourself with, because again, just like a cold or, or someone yawning, right? How just naturally when someone yawns, you naturally kind of yawn too. Character kind of had that same effect. The people you hang around the most, you will find yourself doing, in terms of mannerisms, some of the exact same things. And so if you hang around negative people are pessimistic, people are always trying to talk you out of your vision and your dreams, you might want to reconsider those relationships, because eventually it's going to have an effect on you.
When it comes to, do you think you can add value to those people, or will they even see the value that you bring?
I think that you can do your best to try and add value to others, but I don't think that you should overwhelm yourself by carrying the burdens of others. You should do what you can, and if they're not convinced at that point, you should love them from a distance. You can't allow them to infect your environment, and I mean infect like a disease. Like you can't allow them to infect your environment, and hold you back from your greatness. Because honestly, some people are content with mediocrity. Some people are fine right where they are, living paycheck to paycheck, making ends meet and just getting by, and they're comfortable in that situation. And them seeing you making strides and moving forward, if that's not motivating them to come along and join in on the ride, then you kind of have to leave them where they are. And hopefully at some point they'll see and they'll come along and catch on, but there's no guarantee. But at the same time, you definitely don't want to, if you try to carry the burdens of everybody that didn't want to come along, you will never get anywhere, because that burden is way too heavy.
A bigger question I have, because we do hear a lot about add value, especially when it comes to networking and building relationships. Can you give us some steps on how we could actually understand what we have to offer? Because I see this a lot of time when I'm talking to college students, is they're strongly encouraged to get a mentor, right? But then it's a little intimidating if I approach this older person and I don't know how I can help them, right? So how can we look into ourselves and kind of understand what do we have to offer when it comes to adding value into a future relationship?
So I'm really big on adding value, really, really big. And that's one of the reasons why I commit to being a lifetime learner. Because I believe the only way that you can really add value to others is if you first add value to yourself.
Mm.
And so every day in every way, we should be striving to become the best version of ourselves, because only then we'll be able to add true value to others. So for me, it's not so much about always trying to figure out what I can do to help a person solve a problem. It's just about being in position to know that you qualify, and that if a problem arose, you have the competence and the confidence to then add value, right? So you don't go into a relationship just necessarily saying, let me figure out how I can help. Let me figure out what value I can add. It's more about, letting the relationship kind of take its course, building the relationship, nurturing that relationship. And then as the relationship grows, even a professor, even somebody with a PhD, has some very human needs, if that makes sense. And so you may not be able to give them any advice or add value on the level of business or anything related to what they are experts in, but they may be going through a situation in their relationship, and that you've already went through and experienced and came out of successfully. And so then you can add value through those conversations and those discussions. So there are so many ways to add value that is unreal, but the best way to ensure that you are qualified to add value is to continue to add value to yourself. So I encourage everybody to continue to be lifetime learners. The research says that the average millionaire reads at least one book per month. And that anybody who's truly successful and has attained true wealth, if they don't have the credentials to back it in terms of a PhD or a master's, they have invested in themselves on the level of a master's or a PhD degree in terms of books that they've purchased, workshops, seminars, etc., that they continue to subscribe to and invest in year after year. So the reality is that everybody that's at the top of their game understands the importance of being a lifetime learner. They know that only through that and them really, really, really pointing to themselves can they then pour into others.
Absolutely. I love how you mentioned you have to add value to yourself first, because I can't pour into you if I'm depleted.
That's right. Hey, man.
I'm no good to nobody. And I think lots of times, I at least want to speak as a woman, we kind of forget that because we're carrying so many roles. And then at the end of the day, we just want to sleep. I just want to close my eyes. But yeah, we do have to take away, go hide, whether that's meditate, some type of self-care activity, reading a book, enjoying yourself, a walk at a park, even if it's 20 minutes, just, replenishing yourself, whether it's silence or learning, it goes a long ways. And you never know when you're going to pour out to someone in the future, whether that's at the end of the day or 2 years from now. But it's amazing how that works. And I think I've been more cognizant of that over the past 2 years. And I've also learned to say no too.
Oh man, that's a huge. that is huge. So. Saying no. Oh my God. Especially when you're a person that's passionate and they really have a true desire to help others. Mm-hmm. You can really, really quickly bite off more than you can chew and overwhelm yourself with committing yourself to things that you probably shouldn't be committing yourself to, and spreading yourself way too thin.
Yeah, and I want to ask you once again, with juggling just on the business aspect, and now you're getting a doctorate, a PhD. Like, what is some of your decision-making processes? It's like, how do you make a decision? Because I believe when you're good at what you do, you're always going to be afforded opportunities.
That's correct. I definitely believe that.
Right. So can you give us some insight on maybe how you make decisions on a regular basis regarding your business and just day-to-day life? Because I see so many people get overwhelmed with that.
So I'm a Libra, so I think
Hey.
I have an unfair advantage. I think Libras are really good at balancing things. You know, we are the scales, by the way.
Yes, we are.
So I'm just really good with balancing life and work. And by the way, I have a 3-year-old son about to be 4 July 7th. And a daughter about to be 16 at the same time, which hers on the 9th, his is on the 7th. And so of course, and of course, my wife, and she's a trooper. She definitely does her part and then some. But for me, more than anything, I focus on where my strengths are. And I guess I'm also good at connecting dots. Like some things that people may look at and say and don't see the connection, it may seem like it's all over the place. I see how it fits. So I guess I'm just really good at being kind of visionary and seeing the bigger picture. And what that does is it allows me to continue to acquire the necessary skills, you know, even in education. Everything I've done, it doesn't seem like it's connected. It has a kind of it may have a disconnect for some people on the outside looking in. But for me, it makes total sense in how I build my brand and how I acquire what I need to build the brand out more. When I got my business degree, I decided to do the journalism thing because to me there was no separation from PR and marketing. Right, marketing for the most part was the creation of the message, but PR dealt more with the delivery of the message, right? The platforms. And so I saw the connection. Like, okay, this goes hand in hand. Like to understand public relations and radio, television, and film, RTF stuff, and then also have a business degree in marketing. That is the perfect combination. And then, of course, when I went to grad school and started focusing on my master's, I'm like, do I really want an MBA? Because I've been running businesses all my life. So I think I'm a master at business anyway right now. So do I really need an MBA, or with something more geared toward technology and the way the world is moving benefit me more in my brand? And so I understood that if I got a stronger suit in app development and web development and just technology in general, with databases, how to build those things out, how to understand just the dynamics of it and how it works, and how I can use those, how I can leverage those platforms and that technology to build my businesses. I was like, that's a much smarter investment in both my time and my money. So again, all of those pieces go together because again, even with the business and marketing background, now I have the technology to build out the platforms to then place that other stuff on top of. So with that, and then again, now PhD, we're talking about, leadership and nonprofit management. I think leadership should be a core part or requirement, a prerequisite in every college degree program or plan. Because leadership that's just the hallmark or the strongest skill any person can acquire, especially if you're going to be in business for yourself. So I'm a big fan of John C. Maxwell, of course. I have all of his books, all of his literature. And everybody definitely should read 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership if they pick up no other book on leadership. So yeah, so again, for me, I'm just good at putting all the pieces together and balancing it out.
I love it. I agree. And I see it. As a marketer, I can see how the business, the journalism connects, and then, of course, the leadership, because those are programs that I'm looking into myself. Let's talk a little bit about your nonprofit organization. You're the co-founder of Recreating Me movement.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So what is the organization about?
So Recreating Me is, we do a number of different kind of core services. But Recreating Me mostly deals with just positive self-image building, creating awareness in our youth that they don't have to be what the neighborhood has defined them as, or what the media has defined them as, or what the rapper on that great song that they love has defined them as. They have the right to define themselves. and again, it's just really about helping them to understand who they truly are, so they can be the best version of themselves. Because the one thing that nobody can beat you at is being you. And too often we just imitate. We grow up just being imitators and carbon copies. But God made you for a reason. Even twins have a different set of fingerprints. That means everybody clearly has a different destiny and something that they were put here to add or contribute to the world that nobody else can add, because they are uniquely qualified to give that. So the whole program is really about that. But we do self-image building, we do mental health stuff, we do anger management, we do job placement, we do life skills, and we do mentoring. And right now we're actually in quite a few public and private schools. We've done a program in Yes Prep Academy and Key, at Cashmere Elementary, Cook Elementary. We're everywhere. And the sad part about it is that there's such a strong demand for our program that these principals are actually coming out of their personal budget to fund our program.
Wow.
They believe in it that much, but the need is just is there, especially for the boys' mentorship in inner city communities. There's just a really, really big void there. And so we come in, we fill that void. We do a really nice wraparound service that gives these young brothers and sisters some different tools that helps them to navigate those challenges that come at that age.
Yeah. And what age do you work with?
We work with mostly from 11 to finishing school, so 11 to 17 or 18. Okay. That group for the most part.
Okay. And you have your book. So you mentioned your book earlier. Go ahead and give us the title and when we can expect that to come out.
The book is called C4, An Explosive Way to Live a Dynamic Life. And I'm actually I actually co-wrote the book with a childhood friend of mine named Robert Reed. He's also a success coach, an award-winning insurance broker, and has a number of other businesses going himself. And so it was just ironic how it all came back together. But we actually were childhood friends. We had a dance group when I was in middle school. So I thought I could dance. I thought I could sing. I thought I would be, the next Jodeci or Boys to Men back in my day. And that didn't pan out for me. But the great thing about it was being on stage definitely gave me the confidence to not be afraid to stand in front of people and represent my brand. But yeah, so we co-wrote the book, and the book will be out in the next 30 days, and it'll be available at all major outlets: Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, all formats, ebook and print book. So yeah, I'm excited.
Good. Congratulations. And we'll definitely have those links in the show notes for our listeners to purchase the book. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
I can be reached at, on Instagram, of course, I'm just simply Edward Davis. I just keep it simple. I'm a simple guy. But again, simplicity sometimes is the best way to be, because in life, sometimes we overcomplicate things ourselves. So I'm just simply Edward Davis. I also can be reached at edwardjdavis.com and personalimpact.com. And the impact is just MPACT. But I'm sure, of course, you have that in the notes as well, hopefully.
Yes. Yes, I will. All right, Edward, before I let you go, what is one action item the listeners can implement in their lives today?
I say, give your life clear direction. And what I mean by that is understand the importance of goal setting and not just roaming aimlessly and thinking that and mistaking busy for productive. You can be busy all day long and not get much done in the way of productivity and moving yourself closer to your goals and objectives in life. So set clear goals for yourself. And I know we've all heard of, the idea of setting a SMART goal. And so all that means is that the goal needs to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. but I actually added an S to the end of it and said, don't just develop SMART goals, develop goals using your smarts, right? So the S stands for share. So that means not only should you set goals that are clearly defined for your life, you should also share those goals with people whose opinion you value, because they will hold you accountable. And again, there's research on this. A Dominican of University of California psychology professor by the name of Dr. Gail Matthews, she actually did a study on that, and that's where I got that information from. That actually sharing your goal and progress updates with friends on a regular basis basically will improve your success rate.
I love that. It's so simple, but S for share, which leads to accountability in order for you to achieve your goals. I absolutely love that.
So I say scrap the SMART goal and use smarts.
Yeah.
When setting your goal.
So simple, but so profound.
Right.
Edward, I appreciate you. You provided a lot of gems in here, a lot of gems. And I'm looking forward to listening to this interview myself, of course, sharing it with the audience, and definitely purchasing your purchasing your book to support you. Because if this interview is just a fraction of the book, I know I'm in for a treat, as well as everyone else.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing me with your viewers and your audience. Of course, I appreciate you and all that you do. And of course, I did buy both of your last books and waiting for you to come out with something else as well.
No pressure.
And so again, I just love what you do. You're at the top of your game. You live what you preach. And you're just a great example for what it means to be a true entrepreneur and a person that's not afraid to go out and make it happen. And one thing that I always take from you is don't be afraid of the ask. And you've been amazed that since I've heard you say that, how many times I've applied that to my life and it has worked. So yes. So just know that you are planting seeds and making things happen, and it's affecting people in ways that you may never even see or may never even know. But it's definitely a wonderful thing that you're doing.
Oh man, thank you. Everyone, remember, I believe in you. A personal connection leads to an influential network. Thanks for networking with Michelle.